All right, guys, here we go. 9.4. So, key terms and objectives, what we got. So, understand why pests need to be managed. Obviously, they're just going to eat all the crops. That way, we can ensure food security. We just discussed the trade offs of the pesticide, the synthetic ones, and explore alternative and more sustainable ways to manage the agricultural pests. Now, our key terms, okay, I've already got them written down in my journal. So, pest, synthetic pesticide, integrated pest management. We're going to walk through each of those, and I'll kind of give you a quick heads up of, hey, jump back to your vocab to finish this stuff out. All right. So growing power, we've already talked about that. The ex-football player started that whole thing up. So how can we protect our crops from pests more sustainably? So we can use a mix of a whole bunch of things, not just completely relying on one thing. We got to kind of mix and match. So we can do cultivation techniques. Okay, biological pest controls, or find the predators of the pest, stick those guys in your farm. Okay, and then as a last resort, use those pesticides. Okay, by doing all three of those together, that's going to make it so that way the decreased insecticide use, but their crop yields will still be able to maintain a good profitability for them. All right, so pest, here's our definition. Okay, make sure to jump back to your definition to write down kind of your version of this thing. So any species that interferes with human welfare by eating society's food, invading homes, lawns, or gardens, destroying building materials, spreading disease, invading ecosystems, or just a general nuisance. So an easy example of a pest that you guys, I'm confident, are familiar with, good old mosquito. That's a pest. They're a general nuisance to this whole thing. All right. So they are also nature's enemies as well, or nature's enemies, excuse me, the parasites, the predators, and disease. Those guys are the ones that control those pest species. So free ecosystem service, as we've talked about, a whole bunch of different things that they do. Checks and balances and natural pest control upset by clearing forests of grasslands, or clearing of forests and grasslands. The monoculture as well of just like 10,000 acres of corn. That's not good because the predators need different places to be able to live to be able to control the pests for you guys. All right, advantages of synthetic pesticide use. Okay, humans' lives have been saved because of it. All right, remember DDT was killing the bugs that were spreading, or killing the mosquitoes that were spreading malaria? That's obviously a huge advantage. We're saving human life at that point. The food supplies are increased. We've got 8 billion people to feed. The crop yields and the farming profits increase, which is good because farmers, if you didn't know, are barely scraping by. And the newer pesticides are much safer, they're more effective, and they work faster. And when properly used, that's a key part right there, they keep the health risks very low relative to benefits. Okay, properly used includes you taking your produce home and washing it. All right, which a lot of people unfortunately don't do. Now, the disadvantages, genetic resistance, or the genetic development of pesticide resistance in pest organisms. So you put a pesticide down, you kill 99% of those pests, but that 1% that's resistant, that proliferates. Now that first pesticide doesn't work at all. So you got to develop a more powerful pesticide. Kills 99%. That one pesticide, or that 1% is genetically resistant. That guy's multiply. We come out with a new pesticide. Cycle continues and continues and continues. Okay. Long-term use diminishes the effectiveness, like I was saying. Okay. So basically costing farmers more. So they need to spray more and more and more and more, but they're not getting as much return as it used to do. Okay. Insecticides kill the pest natural enemies as well. So like we're talking about with the with DDT was killing the mosquitoes, but if the birds are eating the mosquitoes, those bird eggs are not as strong. So the bird population starts to decline. So the predator is now being affected as well. Inefficient application also causes pollution. So basically, you're just kind of spraying it everywhere. Both wildlife and human health are affected. All right. Now, protective laws and treaties. So pesticide usage can be regulated by what's called the EPA, the USDA, the FDA, so on, things like that. But your government agencies that can regulate this stuff. Unfortunately, adequate funding has not been provided for them to really enforce that stuff. So you can make all the laws you want, but if you don't have anybody to enforce the law, nobody's going to really pay attention to it. All right, alternatives, you can do crop rotation. You can adjust the planting time so that way the pests are going to starve, and it allows the enemies to eat them. Like you can time it with like their egg cycles and when they're going to hatch and stuff like that. You can do a little bit of research that way. Okay, polyculture. Remember, poly means many. There's one of our vocab words from 9.1. Polyculture provides homes for the pest enemy. So if you're planting a whole bunch of different things, some of those predators can live in those different things, hide, and then they can find the pest easier. Okay, you can implant genetic resistance as well to the plant. This is where GMOs come in. Biological control, again, using the natural enemies, use those predators. You can use natural pheromones. You can lure pests into traps. You can attract natural enemies into the crop field. So, for example, think back to Biggest Little Farm. Remember the barn owls that they put? They put the barn owl houses up, and they came in and started eating all the gophers. That's one of them right there. All right, more alternatives. Disrupt the lifestyles of the insects by altering their hormones. Okay, so you can use that perfume and hormone alteration, but both of them time-consuming, both of them costly. And like I said, farmers barely scraping by. All right. Reduce synthetic herbicide usage to control the weeds, and the integrated pest management, again, kind of making sure that kind of all the wheels are turning all at the same time. That'll be much more effective. All right. Short, sweet, to the point. There's 9.4.